Everybody, welcome to Rimshot, the Drummers Podcast. And this particular episode falls under the good Muse to Music podcast. Excuse me. So I want to introduce you to Paul Cormier. You may recognize Paul from Rushfans. So he's hosted numerous episodes, been a panelist along with myself. So that's our connection. But the other connection we have is drumming. So I want to get a little bit of backstory on Paul's playing and origin story, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully by the end of the episode, you could see yourself perhaps in Paul's background, as well as Jim Benner, another friend of Rush Fans, and also my friend Chris Howard. So today's episode is brought to you by the letter R for Rush Fans, and also the number three. So that number may come into conversation as we go along here. So to kick it off, if you like what you see, feel free to like and subscribe. You can give us a tip on Kofi if you like to, and appreciate you watching. Really appreciate you being here. Without further ado, I'm going to ask Paul a series of questions, and I'm very happy you're here, Paul.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Thanks. No, thanks for having me.
Hey, you're welcome.
I,
Thanks for.
I don't get to tell my drumming journey to most people. They don't really care.
That's typical of drummers. Like, what are you, a drummer?
Yeah,
Whatever.
exactly. You're a numbskull. You're that's why you play drums,
Yeah, I'll pay for the pizza. Get off the porch. Let's go. So, all right. So I want to get into the origin story a little bit with you. And I want to ask you, how did you discover the drums and when did you know you want to play?
I
So
would so I would say I was in junior high, and for whatever reason, just you're in music class, and I was playing the clarinet and just wasn't cutting it. And I was always attracted or kind of drawn towards the percussion section, right? Like there was always one person playing the snare drum, and there was someone playing the bass, and it's kind of like, maybe I'd give that a try. So then I asked my teacher, and he agreed. So I did that for a while. So basically, I played on the my junior high um, band, I guess if you want to call it, just music class.
right.
But at the time, my my friends were getting big into like heavy metal, and I wasn't really kind of into that scene yet, but would soon discover that I would be. So they were big into like the heavy metal stuff. Like at the time was Metallica and Iron Maiden, and so that kind of caught my attention. I was like, okay, I like drumming. And then I remember when Metallica's One, the video came out in '89, I want to say, late
Yeah.
'80s, and just watching it and just watching Lars behind the kit going, oh, that's so cool. Just I'm studying it and I'm realizing like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I want to drum. So kind of, told my mom, and she kind of went, you want to drum, eh? Okay, that's not going to happen anytime soon,
Yeah.
And then finally in 91, in the summer of 91, my uncle introduced me to the professor, to Rush and to Neil Peart. And that was what sparked my absolute desire to learn to play the drums. I
Yeah.
was listening to him intently, like I was buying their albums, and just I was so hyper focused on the drumming and not really realizing at the time, this is back in 91, that hey, Geddy and Alex are actually really good players too. But I was so focused on Neil and his fills and his rhythms and his I was just mesmerized. So that's when I was like, okay, mom, I gotta get a start. I gotta get a kit. I want to like actually get into this. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how the journey started.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. So
Yeah.
were you self-taught or did you take lessons? I mean, was that like a spillover from the school band or?
A little bit of spillover because in the school, they were doing the basic rudiments, your single stroke rolls and your double stroke rolls and paradiddles and all that stuff. But I was mostly self-taught, just from, well, at the time, listening as much as I could intently, which is difficult. I mean, it's a lot easier nowadays with the technology.
Mhm.
You have videos where everything's transcribed, and this
Yeah.
is because remember, this is pre-internet. So I mean, you kind of had to go with what you had available, and just I had my stuff on cassettes, just basically rewinding and listening to fills and saying, okay, trying to, and also just watching videos, like watching the Rush videos, watching Neil
Yeah.
drum on these videos, right? Just to see what he's doing. And then I'm getting ideas from my kit, like, ooh, that's kind of cool. So people say, oh, you shouldn't imitate another drummer. But Of course, I was 16 at the time. I didn't know anything different.
Yeah.
So that was my, but I was mostly self-taught, just basically just practice playing Rush songs. Really, that was
Yeah.
my my go-to. So,
Yeah. So what was the first side note too? What was the first Rush song that you did? Was there like one that you did complete, or was it like one that you kind of just started and then
oh wow,
it's
it's
off
been
this is like
such.
off the cuff, but I figured I'd ask you that.
I'll be honest, and no disrespect to John Rutsey, but my first into the first album, which
Yeah.
is it's not as complicated as what Mr.
Your
Peart
stuff.
would do. So
Right.
I kind of cut my teeth with the first album trying to get that kind of down. And but to Mr. Rutsey's credit, I mean, he wasn't a bad drummer either. So I mean, he had his own style.
Mhm.
But that's the I remember really kind of focusing on that, and then kind of telling myself I'll focus on the more complex stuff as I get the basics down.
Right.
Which when you're not when you've never played the drums, you don't realize how difficult it is to gain independence of your limbs, to
Hmm.
kind of have not have your right hand do the same thing as your right foot on the kick drum or that kind of stuff. And so that took a while just to kind of gain that independence. But
Yeah.
once that kind of kicked in, then I was like, okay, now I can start working on more complex patterns and more, um, for example, subdivisions, right? Like that initial part where he's doing eighth notes on the hi hat, but he's doing quarter notes on the ride.
Yeah.
So your hi hat, your left hand's going faster than your right, and it's at first it throws you right off, but then
Oh yeah.
with practice, you kind of learn to do that, right? So
Yeah.
it's like taking your brain, you just kind of let's rip it apart. Because
Yeah.
convention is that your limbs kind of work together, but you have to kind of just stop that and think each limb is independent,
Right.
which is really difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And who better to learn that from than Mr. Pierce? Mhm. So yeah, that's great. Yeah, he's definitely profound influence for me as well. So I
Mm,
definitely resonate with that point.
yeah,
And of
definitely.
course, along with influences, of course, Mr. Peart is in there as an influence. Did you have other like drummers also with Lars Ulrich? Were there other players that influenced you?
Well, at the time, I mean, the early 90s, there was a lot of heavy drumming. So, I mean, I was into like I said, my friend was into Iron Maiden. So Nico McBrain was in that.
Yeah.
Uh, Lars Ulrich, obviously. I was big into Pantera. So Vinnie Paul was
Yes.
he's an absolute beast on the double kicks. Like he
Oh
was
yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I'm watching videos of him and I'm just mesmerized to how his kick drum work is just insane. Also into Slayer. So, Dave Lombardo, Paul Bostaph. And also into Megadeth when Nick Menza was a big one in there too at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, back when I was learning, those are a lot of the influences. I was more into like heavier, other than the Neil, of course, but I was more into like heavy rock drumming, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I do remember, for example, just playing Kansas on the
Yeah.
drums. Just hey, it's cool rock sound. Like just let's get going, right? But
Yeah.
those are my big influences when I first started playing. Yeah, but definitely my number one is obviously it's Neil.
Yeah.
I have different influences now because the whole community is different. Like you have with the internet, like I said, back in the early 90s, there was no internet. So you kind of had to go by what are your friends listening to and okay, I got into this band, so I'm gonna go buy more of their albums, kind of see like now someone like Thomas Lang or he's an absolute monster.
Yeah.
Um, the Druminator. Um, there's also Todd Zuckerman, who's the drummer for Styx.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He reminds me of Neil in the sense that he's very well versed when he speaks to you. He's very interesting to listen to, and his drumming is very precise. It's not overly flashy. Like
Right.
he plays Styx, so Styx has, it's a rock band from the 70s and 80s up to now, and
Mhm.
um, but he's done some solos for Drumeo,
Yeah.
and there's one that he did in 2018. Every time it's about 4.5 minutes. It just blows my mind because it's so melodic.
Yes.
And he says, I'm not about speed. There's nothing against speed,
Mhm.
right? you use speed when you need to, but it doesn't have to be. You see these drummers online now. That's all they do. It's all speed. You're like,
Yeah.
where's the groove? Where's the feel?
Yeah.
Like, so he just kind of inserts more of that into it. Uh, Also big into like the alternative bands. So like Dream Theater. So Mike Portnoy and Mike Mangini for a while.
Mhm.
Tool. So Danny Carey obviously is a big one too right now. He reminds me of Neil in that sense too, where his independence of his limbs is just insane.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think probably every drummer has seen the video of Danny Carey doing Numa from 2019 with the cameras on him the whole song and his
Yes.
independence. It's just I'm in awe every time I watch it. I probably watch it at least once a week. It's just amazing. But yeah, so that's the style of drumming that I like I like the odd time signatures, how drummers will transition from say maybe a 4/4 beat to a 7/8 or various time signatures. Really interesting. So, and of course we all know early Rush was big into that kind of stuff, right? Like transitioning from odd time signatures and making it seem flawless,
Very
which is
smooth. Yes.
you can't
Yeah.
even tell the difference until you're like start counting it out in your head, which I find I've been doing a lot lately when I listen to songs is trying to count out the beats in my head to see, is this an odd? Yeah, it is. Okay, this is 7/8. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really have formal training.
Mhm.
So, you put sheet music in front of me, I'd be like,
Yeah, what do we do with this?
I have to
Yeah.
listen. I'm not visual. I'm more of a listener. So,
Yes.
mm,
That's the other thing
yep.
too, is like, our learning process on the drums is just that. Like when I auditioned to play, the guy who is the band director was like, play this, and you would tap it out on his lap and I would play it back to him. So he did
Mhm.
all 10 things without a mistake. You were in the group. So, but that was
Right.
the whole thing. It's like you want to gauge, like, okay, can you do this visually? And then you said too, with the visual component of watching something and learning how to play it that way. I think it's a great point you just made too, because that's something that people feel bad about sometimes. Like, I don't know how to read music. It's like, well, you don't have to. It's good to have it if depending on where
Right.
you want to go, but to be able to play the instrument, the visual part is always the thing. Like watching Neil picking things up, listening, that sort of comparative attentive listening thing is such a
So
big.
back
Yeah.
in the day on the VHS, I had like Exit Stage Left and I had a Show of Hands and I had Chronicles, which is like all their music videos up
Yeah.
to that point, which is around 1990.
Yeah.
So just watching him, just seeing what he's doing in the fills and just trying to learn and pick up things. And even at first, I'm watching him play. I'm like, is he playing his drumsticks backwards?
Yeah, butt
Like
ends,
he
right?
he he played the
Yeah.
butt end first, and I'm like, that's odd.
Yeah.
So then I tried it. I'm like, no, that's not happening. I can't. I
Yeah.
just couldn't get used to the. It
So weird.
it's
The
it's
weight.
weird. The weight throws you off a little bit,
Yeah.
and that's actually one of my prized possessions is a broken drumstick, and it's the butt end from one of his shows back in 1987.
Oh, it's
So
killer. Yeah.
yeah. So
Wow. Yeah.
um, a friend of mine was at that concert, and the drum tech at the end of the show just threw him that. Obviously, I had broken during the show. You see all the marks on it from the rim shots and the
Oh yeah.
cymbal shots, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so just studying, just watching and
Yeah.
over and over and just being blown away by how this guy can makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
But I think I don't want this to dominate the Rush discussion, but I think Getty said Neil is the only guy who rehearses for rehearsals.
Right.
So
Right.
he would do 8-9 hours a day for 2 weeks before the actual rehearsals for the tour
Yeah.
because he was a perfectionist. So I mean, yeah, he made it look easy, but he spent how many thousands of hours over his life, and it showed in his physical, I guess, injuries that he would get over the years, his
Yeah.
shoulders, his elbows, his
Yeah.
wrists. You see videos in the '90s. He's got the band on his forearm, right, like
Yeah.
tendonitis, and
Right. Yeah.
and and actually he started playing, uh, and not match grip, but
Traditional.
just
Yeah.
traditional for a while, like when he took lessons from Freddie Gruber. So just to kind of really change his style because he was always a student. He always wanted to learn. So I guess that's one of the things that. Actually, it doesn't matter for which instrument. Any musician, you're constantly learning. You're always practicing. You're always learning. You're always striving. And I'll never forget. Um, Rushfans did a thing about drumming, say 2, 3 years ago, And on the show, we had Tim Alexander from Primus.
Yeah.
And he said, and he had just finished a series of shows. Primus had done A Farewell to Kings.
That-
And he was like, if I was super happy if I could get 90% of what Neil would do on the songs.
yeah.
Like, so he admitted, like, I was making mistakes as the night's going on because it's so difficult, right? Like, and he says that Toronto show, and I've got Getty and Alex sitting on the side stage watching, and he's just like, I gotta get through I gotta get through Xanadu. Oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
so yeah. But it's being able to put the time in. I mean, I was doing it as a hobby. I wasn't doing it as a, oh, I'm going to be a professional. Oh, I want to make a career out of this, because let's just say I didn't have the talent. I think there's a little bit of talent that has to go involved in that.
Sure.
You got to have some musical background, like or sense, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I
I
guess
can't.
it's like the experience a collection of experiences that kind of lead you in a certain directive, and depending on who you play with and all that sort of thing. So that kind of makes it probably a little easier if you want to go pro, if you're playing with,
Well, I mean,
players.
if you're born and raised in a family that's got a lot of music involved, there's a good chance. For example, Todd Sucherman. Well, his father was actually a professional drummer,
Yeah.
so it was natural to kind of to get into that. I guess that career, right? He went to Berkeley. He did. So I mean, he studied, but um, it's it's the countless hours of practice, and it's practice just for the sake of practice. It could be rudiments. It could be just starting something really slow and then working in your speed, but it's the consistency that's
Yes.
really difficult. That's what I found difficult when I was practicing, is like the double kicks. I always found it was one foot that was a little bit lagging. It was really hard to keep that constant. And then of
Yeah.
course just the stamina. After a while, your legs are just freaking killing you, right? Your calves are just like so.
Yeah.
But with minimal training and minimal knowledge at the time, I mean, now you can look at videos on YouTube and how to be effective at double drumming and how to be pretty much anything, right? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It makes it a little bit easier to kind of watch and learn because you have so much of it. It's like it's incredible
yep.
to learn things. Even no matter what your level is, it's great. It's just a great time to learn stuff because you have all the visuals. It's all there. Yeah, you get a foot cam, you got the overhead cam. It's like, you're totally hooked up with cameras to
I love
allow that.
I could sit on my phone for an evening and just watch drum videos. I'll
Yeah.
watch Vinny Colaiuta, I'll watch Dave Weckl, I'll watch all these, like Simon Phillips, all these classic
Yeah.
giants of drumming, and just watch them play and just be in awe. Buddy Rich just blows me away every single time. To actually
Yeah.
today he would have been 108 years old. It was his birthday, September 30th, but
Right.
just saw that earlier. You know, or even John Bonham. There's the eternal debate: who's the greatest rock drummer of all time?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like anything.
Yeah, those kinds of discussions are rough.
They are kind of well,
Yeah.
and in all honesty, the Lars Ulrich debate is alive and well. Some people seem, like Drumeo is just putting out a video about the influence of Lars Ulrich and like Enter Sandman, how it's, and hard to believe that album is 35 years,
Ridiculous.
35, 30, 34, 90, 91, 91. Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
but all the people are saying, I can't imagine, like, Lars built his style for Metallica. Like, you can't put another drum in Metallica and it would sound completely different,
Yes.
because other drummers would put different fills in and they would try different stuff and be like, no, you're ruining the song. What are you doing? Like, stop.
Yeah.
Lars is Lars.
Yes.
Love him, hate him. He's got his style. He's sitting back with his $200 million in his bank account, whatever he's worth. Doesn't care what you think of him. But at the end of the day, he's part of one of the world's biggest bands.
Yeah.
Like, say what you want. He is who he is. And he has an influence. It's like people saying
Absolutely.
it's like people saying, oh, well, Ringo Starr for the Beatles, like, he didn't do much. Okay, but
Yeah.
talk to most professional drummers and they will cite Ringo as an influence.
Yeah.
So
Can't escape it,
you can't escape it. But like anything else related to music, and we've had this discussion over and over and over, it's so subjective. What's your favorite drummer compared to my favorite drummer? Is Neil the best? Probably not.
Yeah.
He'd be the first to say that he wasn't.
It wasn't. Yep.
Right? But
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry, went off
That's
topic.
great. That's totally cool because that's that's all part of like the whole drum community is these kinds of discussions and like and just the openness too is important too, where it's not so so rigid in terms of influence, like it's gotta be this person player and this style and this sort of thing. It's so wide open nowadays, which is encouraging that people are that, open to discuss, the playing and genre and things like that. We covered style and genre in terms of what you like. You're into the metal guys,
Hmm.
watching certain players gravitating towards Weckl and people like that, So we all have our guys, which is the great part of playing because it filters into the playing that we get to do. I know it's not always possible to have you know, a regimen of playing, which kind of brings us into the current status of your playing. So do you have a certain thing that you do in terms of playing, or is it like visual? Is it more mixture of stuff, or how does that
Well,
work?
I mean, like I said, when I started drumming when I was 16, I built up, I bought a secondhand kit. It's called Baxter. Don't ask me who, if it was a subsidiary of like another company or not, but it was anyway. And some cheap cymbals. So I kind of said, nah, I said the drums I can work with. I threw some Remo drum heads on it. I was like, okay, makes them sound a lot better because the original drum heads are cheap.
Yeah.
So now I was like, okay, I gotta kind of diversify a little bit. So I looked into I looked at some symbols like whether it be Zildjian or Sabian or whatnot, Heisty. So I gravitated towards Sabian, which is actually, ironically enough, I'm in St. John, just outside of St. John, New Brunswick. The Meductic, New Brunswick, is where they do the symbols for Sabian.
Oh wow.
It's about, I'd say, about an hour away from my house.
Oh, that's
So
great. Yeah.
yeah. So all this time, all these big drummers are going to the factory and hand picking their cymbals, and I'm like, completely like clueless, right?
Yeah.
But so yeah, so I went to Sabian and then kind of built up my kit. Some crash cymbals, a splash, a Chinese, a China cymbal, a good ride, some good hi hats.
Yeah.
Had that for about 3 years, and then I had to go to college, and you know that kind of put on the wayside. I ended up selling my kit, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and that was back in the mid '90s that happened, and only recently, like 3, 4 years ago, got an electronic drum kit.
Okay.
Just because I never had the, I guess, the opportunity to have space.
Yes.
I mean, if you're a guitarist, you just need a corner of a room, a guitar with your little amp. You don't need a big setup in a big room. When you're a drummer, it's a completely different beast.
Yes.
So I never had the opportunity to have space for my kit or the kit that I wanted,
Right.
or I was in an apartment or an apartment building, which is kind of like, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen because everybody's going to complain.
Yeah.
So then finally, met my wife, got married, had kids. It's like, okay. So finally, a couple of years ago, I was like, okay. But every time I'm in the car, a song comes on, I'm tapping. My hands are moving, right? I'm always tapping the beats, as much as I can. And very often it's rushed. But I'm always doing something with my hands, right? Just tapping to the beat, just trying to keep. I was like, no, I got to do something. I said, there's a lot of different electronic kits out there that you can get. There's Roland and Alesis and all that stuff. So I went out and I got a kit, set it up in my basement. I had a spare room down there for a bit, so I set it up down there, and I was kind of like this shouldn't take too long to get back into it. Nope. I realized real quick this is something you got to keep at it.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of starting to get back into the groove of things, and then uh, life happened. The space needed to be used for something else, so I had to pack it away. But the plan is to next year I want to build a garage, have a space up there, and I can set it up.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to go back to an acoustic kit
Yeah.
because the electronics, it's just not the same. Like I'm kind of a bit of a purist. I mean, it's a bit hypocritical because Neil used both, but um, I just like the sound. Like Neil said, the sound of moving air, the drum
yes.
head just reverberating, right? Like you just get that pure sound as opposed to a electronic. It's not the same as an actual tom
Yeah.
or a gong drum or a good tight snare.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's going to be loud. I'll make sure it's built soundproof as much as I can, so I don't annoy the neighbors. Thankfully,
Yeah.
but that's my current plan. But yes, I'm always watching videos. I'm always listening to music and trying to focus on the drums and the drum beats and the fills and just kind of tapping it out with my hands constantly. It's just every so often my wife would be like, "Can you focus on the road and not drum?" I'm like, "Oh, sorry," because I'm tapping on the steering wheel or on the gear shift, whatnot, right? But she understands the obsession. So
That's good. That's a really key point there is like people who understand the drumming because it's not a quiet instrument. So you have all that and then all the stuff that goes
yeah,
with it. It's like so that people around you that appreciate, that aspect of playing acoustic drums. The electronic kits are cake, there's no worries there. But to have someone in your life or people in your life that have been embraced that's aces right there.
yeah. I have a couple of friends that have kits, and every so often they'll be like, "Hey, you want to come over and just jam?" I'm like, "You're darn tootin'." You're like, "Let's go."
Yeah.
You bring a couple of drinks, and you just sit back and you'll put on some Metallica or something like that, and I'll just start playing, you know, just drumming, just having fun, and not. I've never been in a band. I've never had that. It was more just for myself, just something to do, a hobby, just to kind of, um, I guess, vent frustrations. I guess is one way to do it. But you know,
Yeah. It's
I was,
better on the crap out of a drum than,
I
something else.
was, well, yeah, and I hit things with sticks. It was basically, like this, and looking back when I was 16, I was going through kind of a lot. Like my parents are going through a separation, so I was kind of like in my teenage years, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I was kind of really in that. You get into that zone where you're just like, you don't know what you want to do, and then Rush came into my life, and it kind of redirected my focus on that. Then I was like, oh, I like this. So then it became my obsession,
Yeah.
and to this day, I mean, I've got two armful of tattoos and a leg on the go. But it was a way to kind of just get creative juices flowing, just to get energy out of you, just to bang drums and just get it out and hit that crash. And, and thankfully my mom was very supportive of my hobby at the time. I'd like, okay, mom, I'm going to be downstairs in the basement for 2 hours to practice. And she'd be like, okay. She'd put on earplugs and just carry about her day upstairs.
Yeah.
And, I think she understood why.
Yeah.
It's more like it's like a distraction to all the personal stuff that was going on. It was like I was able to get down there, put the headphones on,
Yeah.
crank some tunes, and then just go, right? Just
That's
get some
nice too with that.
practice.
That story is great too. That kind of hit me because it's like having a parent like know where you are, in a situation like that is great. And to have an outlet that's like a healthy outlet is like even better. Like
Mm-hmm.
so as a parent, it's like you can't ask for anything more than that from your children of having something to go to that's healthy and you're getting these things out naturally. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, it just kind of hit me like
No,
oh,
and,
it's the
and
coolest
it
thing.
makes sense
Yeah.
because I mean, I would go to my part time job. I go to school, and then I'd have a part time job sometimes in the evenings or the weekends. So whenever I could have an hour or two on the kit, it was just like, oh, this is my hobby. This is something I do to pass time, as opposed to sitting in my room and just listening to music. At least I could do something. Now, listening to music while I'm doing my homework, well, was kind of distracting, but because I'd focus on the music, and I was like, when my uncle introduced me to Rush in the summer of '91, I just went all out. So I bought all the albums in chronological order to bring myself up to Roll the Bones at the time. So it was just like, so I got to hear the whole evolution of his drumming throughout the years and into, from the Fly By Night to Caress of Steel, and then into the really proggy days, with Hemispheres, and then into Permanent Waves, then Signals hit, and then to me, like, Signals is those tamas were just, they sounded
cut,
fantastic.
cut right through.
The infamous Candy Apple Red Tama kit
Yeah.
was just like, oh. And then Grace Under Pressure come out with electronic drums, and I kind of went, whoa, what's this? This is different. Like, this is
With
not
all the
this
stuff.
what happened here? And I think there's a video. I think it's when they played in Japan for that tour. So he's got the full jump kit, but he's not on those rotating riser yet. So when
Yeah.
he's playing a song like Red Sector A, he literally has to sit with his back to the audience because his
Yeah.
electronic kit's in the back.
Mhm.
So, but he, at the time, he still had the double kit, the double bass drum kits, which personally I like to look better than a single kick drum with a double bass pedal.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Mhm.
So then he went to the Ludwig. Sounded really good though. For so I think he had the Thomas up until Hold Your Fire.
I believe so. Yes.
Because I think with Presto, that's when he switched.
Yeah.
Then he
Going
went to
to-
Ludwig. He went to Ludwig until
yeah.
Counterparts, and then Test for Echo, he switched to DW.
Mhm.
Um, and
It's
I,
as
and if
well.
there's DWs out there, big fan of DWs. I personally did not like the sound of how he tuned his toms,
Yeah.
but that's a personal thing. Like
Right.
everybody will have their favorite kits with Neil.
Mhm.
Um, like the R40 tour, which you have the shirt there.
Yep.
The second half of the show, he came out with this. It's a DW kit, but it was like a retro kit from his
Right.
El Darko, right?
Yeah.
If I could have any kit, it would be that one because it's just
Sounds different.
it sounds different, but it's a beautiful kit.
It's
Like
really nice.
just
Yeah.
um yeah. But that's my current status. I just watch videos, try to learn as much as I can, realizing that yeah, when it comes down to sitting behind a kit and actually all of a sudden my hands don't want to do what I want them to do. It just seems like it's this is the timing's off. Why can't I get a clean
Ah,
roll? Why can't I get a clean drum roll? Like what's going on here, right? Like,
this is
but
ridiculous. Yeah.
this is I practiced this 30 years ago. Why can't I do it now?
Yeah.
So which when you think about it, after Neil went through his bad pace after he lost his wife and his daughter, he didn't touch a drumstick for years.
Yeah.
Then to get back into it
Mhm.
and almost like he never left.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the amount of practice he had to put in
Yeah.
to get his body back into that rhythm. That's
Yeah.
difficult.
It's a lot. It's definitely
And
a lot.
I admire him for walking away while he still could,
Mhm.
because he had high standards. If I can't play Rush, I don't want to be on stage. You've
Yeah.
seen these bands, you're just like, yeah, you're still touring, but I think you're doing it for the money. You're not doing it for the love of the music, right? Like,
Like a
or the
sustaining of a different kind, you know?
you could tell that the musicians are a little bit struggling.
Yeah.
You know, like well, even Alex Lifeson, he's admitted like he's got arthritis in his hands, so he's not. It's difficult for him to play. But anyway, I
Yeah.
digress.
Exactly. Yeah. Time is the hand that writes the story, as they say, right?
Mm, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. But as long as all this works, that's the great part of getting back to playing drumming at any rate, whether it's just practice pad.
Mm,
All my stuff starts right behind me on the practice pad. That's where I
yep,
go. That's always the place I go. And the same thing on drive and do the same thing you just mentioned too, and as we all do. So that's a great, reminder that, you can still play. You don't have to have a kit in front of you to do it. You can just, you work your limbs, it's totally
and
feasible.
and honestly, you're never too young to start. If you've always had that little fire and you always wanted to try it, find a friend that has a kit and ask them, "Hey, can I sit behind your kit? Just dabble with it, just to see, you know what I mean?" And if that's like, "Oh, this is fun," then
Yeah.
go to the next step. But you're never. I just turned 50 this year, so I mean, and I'm still interested in doing it. Right? Yeah, yeah. I survived. Yay!
You too, yeah.
Yay! But yeah, so I mean, it's always, even though I didn't play for a long time, it's always been there. It's always been a part of me. So I just kind of have to get the right circumstances together so I can sit down, get a kit properly, and then really put the time in.
Yeah.
To and now my kids are getting older, so I do have more. You know, when the
Yeah.
kids are young, they they take all your attention and energy and time.
Yes.
So my daughter is turning 12 in a couple of days, and
Oh, cool.
my son's 9. So now they're independent, right? They're more independent. They can do their own thing. So I can, if I wanted to disappear in the garage for a couple of hours and play drums, I could. So that's got to be my plan. So
Yeah. That's killer.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's pretty good. I mean, that's definitely something, even like if we were to go along with like advice you can give, to people and tips for aspiring players, I think that's a nice little segue into that discussion, or
yeah,
what would you say
definitely.
would be the things that could be, implemented for people just kind of kicking off, no matter what the age? I mean, like you said too before, the age factor is something that people get thrown off by. It's like, oh, I'm too old to start, or I'm not old enough to start. Nah, So if you had advice for those kind of players, what would you offer them?
Even said, even yourself, like grab a pair of sticks, practice pad. It's not that expensive. Just start tapping stuff out just to see if you can get the basic rhythms in, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, it's it's one of those things like, oh, I don't have rhythm. Well, how do you know? Like, don't go based on your dancing because that's not reflective of drumming, right? Like,
Right.
um, but it's about you. You almost have to if you have that inkling that you want to try, just find a way to try it. Sit down, find a friend or someone that has a kit or a practice pad, borrow it, and just if you're always gravitating towards drumming videos, maybe there's a little fire that needs to be lit. You know what I mean? Like but it's finding the time to practice. That's the most difficult. But make time if you can. Make the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, I don't try to be fancy. You see these. Well, I shouldn't say fancy. It's unconventional. So, for example, you talked about Jim, how he does open hand drumming. So
Yeah.
basically, your left hand doesn't cross over your right hand doesn't cross over your left when you're playing the hi hats.
Yeah.
It's an open concept. So your left hand is playing the hi hats, keeping the beat, and your right hand is playing the snare.
Yeah.
That would throw me off completely. But I'm sure I could do it with enough practice. It's
Yeah.
just in how you think.
Right.
So you've got people like Simon Phillips that does it really well. Mike Mangini, his kit is it's literally a symmetrical kit. Like you could put a line right down the middle, and it's identical on either side.
Yeah.
Cymbals, toms, drums, everything. And
Yeah.
he just goes back and forth just all over the kits, which is really kind of. You look at someone like Danny Carey, whose hi hat is literally in the middle, right in front of him on his kit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which is odd
Hmm.
between the two kick drums, but that's how he plays it. So he doesn't cross over fully, so it gives him more range of motion for his left hand to go on some of the electronic pads that he's got set up.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to say like how do I set up a kit for myself. It's very you can't. I found a lot of these drummers are really tall.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
like
Danny's tall.
Danny is like 6'4". Neil was
Yeah.
6'3", I think.
Yeah.
So I mean, these kits are set up for these tall guys, right? So their toms are set up like I'm only 5'6". I probably couldn't reach the tom properly,
Yeah.
right? So
Way
it's
up here. It's like,
yeah, it's difficult. So you really have to try to kind of try try different layouts to see what works best for you.
yeah.
Like a drummer will change their kits over the years, like Neil did over the years. He had to. It's like his ride was more on the side in his earlier days, and he moved more towards his like, let's say his 2 o'clock when he was
Yes.
playing, right?
Hmm.
Um, his cowbell things switched completely. Like, I mean, everybody's kits will change over time depending on what's more comfortable ergonomically. And there's a lot of ergonomic science now, right? Like saying be mindful. The unfortunate someone like Phil Collins was
Oh,
now,
oof. Yeah.
he's in rough shape. He has a hard time walking now because of how his drum setup was done,
Yeah.
and it put a lot of pressure on his lower back, and now he's paying the price for it.
Yeah. Oof.
Romeo did a video, interviewed him and his son,
Yeah.
um, of that kit, and Phil Collins is never enough in the discussions of great drummers.
No.
He he's but so it goes to show for him, for example, like if you're not careful of your posture, like it's easy to kind of dismiss it at the time, but then years later it'll
It runs
and
up. Yeah.
and Neil, his problems with his shoulders and his I'm sorry, but Neil hit his drums hard.
Yeah.
He did not need to, but he did.
Yeah.
If you sit there and watch him play, you're like he's just trying to destroy those things
Yeah. Yeah.
for 3 hours a night. You know what I mean? So it's going to take its toll. He played for 50 odd years, right? Like he started what 13, 14 when he was really got his first kit, really got into it with his parent. Well, not with his parents, but like his parents bought him a kit, and you know, but um, yeah, and I mean he's left a legacy of music for us. Um, you know, he's always most surveys that come out rock drumming. He's usually top five, if not top three, with Bonham, with Bonzo, and other great rock drummers. I mean, oh, like Stuart Copeland. You know, he's got such a different style.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just keep at it. That's my best advice. Like if you can find, if you have that itch, if you have that fire, like just find a way to try it. And if you love it, great. If you don't, at least you tried. But give yourself a chance to try it, and like don't be discouraged. Like 30 seconds in, oh, I can't keep a beat. It's gonna take more than 30 seconds. You know,
Yeah.
it takes practice.
Yeah.
I remember getting my first kit and sitting behind it, kind of singing it up and going, okay.
What do I do?
I just started kind of playing, you know, playing basic 2/4 beats. But
Yeah.
you got to get that nailed down. Then you
Mhm.
can start um,
Yeah.
being more adventurous in your what you want to do, right? Fills or you know, your first fills are you know, it's just tom 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 then done. Then you learn that you know there's different kind of fills you can do, but it's just taking the time to practice it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a cumulative experience. You know, you start like you building a drum kit. Same thing. You add a China,
Yep.
you add a splash. It's the same exact thing with playing the drums. You
Mm,
know, and of course you have the wealth of all the percussion instruments, hand percussion, cajon. I mean, it's like it's really an exciting instrument because you don't have just the drum kit. It's like you can go in so many directives, you know, and then of course the
right.
players help influence that too as well. So it's
Mm.
a really wide world of crazy, and it's a good crazy. So I think that's a great advice that you give. It's like, you know, just to begin, just begin it, don't stop. You
Right.
know, beginning is easy, continuing is difficult. So you have to do the ride, you know, get your 10,000 hours in, and
But
you'll
it's once you get the hang of it, and then you're like you see the product of your practice. You're like, okay, I'm nailing this song. This is awesome. I like, you know, I can do this song and not miss a beat, and I'm keeping the beat. And
Mhm.
then you're like, okay, this is cool. Like you're when you start seeing, okay, like a month ago, I wasn't able to do like alternating beats from my hand and my foot, but now I can.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, right?
Yeah.
It's rewarding. It's like little small wins. You're like, okay, I was able to learn this, and now I can do it.
Yeah.
Like the example I said earlier, subdivisions, where you know you're doing eighth on the hi hats, but you're doing quarter notes on the ride. It's your hand wants to kind of follow, but it's like don't it's really hard. And then your other hand is it's yeah, but you got to keep at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. I mean, that's I can't even add to that point. It's around the money, you know.
Mm.
Yeah. That's great, you know. Really cool stuff. I'm so glad you get to offer your background, some advice, your influences, players you gravitate towards, just a little bit of your routine. So
Mm.
hope you guys found this episode really interesting. I know I did. I find all these episodes interesting because people come from different backgrounds and approaches, and they implement those into their playing, everyone's experience levels. I mean, it's just such a great thing to talk about, you know, and I can talk drums for hours, but we have only so much time that we can do these things at sometimes. So thank you very much, Paul, for being here. It was
My pleasure.
talking about everything. And I think that advice at the end is you stuck around to this point in the video, you know, take that to heart and run with
That's
that.
right.
You won't
Yep.
be disappointed. So yeah. Thank you
Perfect.
everybody for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like what you saw, and feel free to comment below. Tell a friend, you know, and you catch both of us on Rush Fans at some point soon. So shout out to Ryan and Paul and all the cats over Rush Fans. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you again. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.